So we were learning about the cellular telephones. Okay. So so there will be each cell, and each cell is connected to the telephone lines by microwave radio communications, and this master control center is known as the mobile telephone switching office. So as the person with the cell phone passes through a cell, it is served by the transceiver. So it is served by the transceiver. And this telephone call is routed through the MTSO onto the standard telephone system. So as the person moves, the system automatically switches from one cell to the other cell and the next. That is why normally we call that as roaming, is it not? So you would have experienced that in your cellular telephones. If you are moving from one place to another, you will be identified in the users as roaming. You will be given that option. So that will be highlighting in your what is the cellular telephones. Nowadays everything is being integrated. We don't have that, but it was there. So this receiver in each cell station continuously monitors the signal strength of the mobile unit. So it keeps monitoring from the mobile unit. There will be signal strength indicator, and that will be keep on monitoring the strength of the signal to inside which cell we are. So whenever there is a drop in the signal strength, automatically it will look for this nearby cell which has the stronger or the strong signal strength. So when the signal strength drops below the desired level, automatically it seeks a cell where the signal from the mobile unit is stronger. So the computer at this, the controller or the computer at the mobile telephone switching office causes the transmission from the one person that is switching from the weaker cell section to the stronger cell. So that concept is called to be handoff. So this concept is very, very important, handoff, which means that whenever a person in a cell where the signal strength is weak, what happens automatically, the controller in the mobile telephone switching office will be trying to identify that particular person to the another cell where the signal is strong. So automatically he will be switched from weaker cell to stronger cell. So this is called handoff. So all this takes place in a very short period of time, and it is completely unnoticeable. That is, the controllers are working in such a fashion that quickly it will be identifying the mobile phones which are at the weaker signal strength, and automatically it will be switching over to the stronger cell. So what happens? That the subscriber or the mobile telephone will be connected to the cell where it is having the stronger signal strength, and this process is called handoff. This handoff, you should have it in mind. It's an important technical term with respect to the cellular telephone system. So the result is that optimum transmission and reception are uptime without any disruption. That is why we will not be able to identify these interruptions happening here whenever there is a switching from one mobile MTSO to other MTSO. It all happens in a very short and very quickly. Okay, and this is completely unnoticeable. And for all these things, there comes the frequency allocation. As we know already, that is with respect to the cordless telephone also we have frequency allocation. So wherever this wireless communications comes, this frequency FCC comes into picture. That is the Federal Communications Commission. So this cellular radio systems operates in the ultra high frequency range on the microwave frequency bands. So as assigned by the FCC, that is the Federal Communications Commission. So the original frequency assignments are, that is 800 to 900 megahertz range, that is previously occupied by mostly unused, that is ultra high frequency TV channels. So that particular channel, that is channel 63 to 83. So these frequency bands is being allocated for cellular radio systems. And also the frequency between 824 to 849 megahertz are reserved for the uplink transmissions from the cell phone to the base station. That is from our mobile telephone system, cellular mobile phone to the base station, that is the MTS phone. And these are also called as reverse channels. And the frequency ranges between 869 to 894 are used for the downlink bands, that is from the base station to the cell phone. Okay, well, the mobile phone normally we call that as. So for this frequency range, you should have it in mind. 824 to 840 megahertz are used for the uplink transmissions, And for downlink, 869 to 894 megahertz are used for downlink from the base station to the cell phones. So both of these 25 megahertz segments of the spectrum were originally divided into 832 channels, each of 30 kilohertz wide. So this is how the frequency is being allocated for the cellular communications, that is cellular radio systems, which are operating in the ultra high frequency range. Okay, so all these being set by the standard FCC, Federal Communications Commission. So this is how it is used. So the standard US ultra high frequency cell phone spectrum. So the same frequency allocation, we use it at our place also. It is 824 to 849, that is for uplink or the reverse channels. And this is, so normally we call that is from our mobile phone to the base station, we call that as uplink or the reverse channel frequency. And the one which is from the base station to our cellular mobile phone, it is called as the downlink or the forward channels. So we always speak with respect to the base station. So that is why it is called as forward channels. So the frequency range here, it is 869 to 894 megahertz. Okay. So these are the frequency ranges. And apart from that, we have additional frequency ranges, some other frequency ranges also, 890 to 915 and 935 to 960. So these are called the ultra high frequencies. These frequencies are higher than the one here. So for advanced services and for long distance communications, they go for this kind of communication. There is frequency allocations. So this range of frequencies is called as the personal communication systems band, which are most frequently used nowadays, the PCS systems, personal communication systems band. So that is in the range 1850 to 1990 megahertz, which will be having the uplink channels in the range 1850 megahertz to 1910 megahertz, and the downlink channels will be having the frequency ranges between 1930 megahertz and 1990 megahertz. So these are the frequency allocations set by the FCC for the cellular telephone communications with respect to the base station and your cellular mobile phones. Okay, so in this frequency range, we get communicated. How? By means of the service provider. So the service provider, that is like Airtel, your Vodafone, or Jio, or whatever, Reliance, or whatever may be the persons, they will be getting license for frequency of operation of their services in that particular frequency range from that FCC. They will be getting proper license for utilizing that particular frequency band, and it will be allocated for that particular frequency band, and all the devices, the base stations which they are setting up, will be operating in this particular frequency, as well as the cellular telephones, mobile phones, whatever we are using, they will be designing in such a way that it will be able to transmit and receive in that particular frequency range. That is why it is universally followed everywhere, because this mobile phone manufacturer will be at some other company, and the service provider will be at some other place, and we will be the subscriber who are using that will be at that place. So everything will be uniformly, they'll be following the universal standard for designing this kind of electronic systems. Okay, so that frequency is set by FCC. So this is how they follow the frequency range of allocation for the cellular telephone communication. So next concept, another concept other than this handoff is frequency reuse. So as I told you earlier, only 5 set of frequencies or 4 set of frequencies will be given for a particular service provider like Airtel or some other person. So they have to make use of the same frequency range within the area, within all the area. So that is why they divide that is the area into which they are providing services into a cellular regions, and they make use of this frequency reuse technology, which means that the only condition is the nearby cells should not have the same frequency, whereas the other cellular ranges which are far from this particular range can have the same frequency. So that is called the frequency reuse technology. So this frequency reuse, the individual frequency bands are shared by multiple base stations. That is, 2 or more base stations can have the same frequency range. The only condition is that base station should not be close by, because the cellular receiver will not be able to identify to which particular base station it has to get connected to. Okay, so that confusion should not be there. Only thing is the base stations which are at very far distance and which are not nearby and closer by can have the same frequency range. Bands. So this is possibly by ensuring that one subscriber or base station does not interfere with any others. So this is achieved by controlling such factors like transmission power, base station spacing, the antenna height, and the radiation patterns from which that is the transmitting antenna of this base station is sending the signals, frequency of signals. Everything comes into picture. Everything have to come into picture. So with low power and low height antennas, the range of a signal is restricted to only a mile or so. So after that particular range of mile, you can repeat the same frequency. Furthermore, most base stations use sectorized antennas with the 120-degree radiation patterns that transmit and receive over a portion of the area they cover. So now you are learning about antenna, is it not? Antenna and wave propagation. So they use microwave frequency range in the same way. A particular angle of radiation, that is 120 for this particular range. This is the frequency range that has been allocated. So in the given city, the same frequencies are used over and over simply by keeping the cell site base stations isolated from each other. So that is the one important point we should know, that is you should keep the base stations using the same frequencies isolated from each other. It should not be close by. So what is the reason for going for frequency reuse? So with the less number of frequency bands itself, we are able to provide so many services to the so many cells. Okay, so that is how it is being allocated here. So the two important concepts that you should know here in the cellular telephone is handoff. Handoff is nothing but that is the movement of cellular mobile phone from the weaker signal strength cell to the stronger signal strength cell is known as handoff. And frequency reuses, that is the individual frequency bands are shared by the multiple base stations provided the base stations are isolated from each other. So these two important concepts are very, very important. Wherever you go, these two concepts are very important, right? For all the semesters in the subsequent subjects, wherever you are learning your wireless communications, mobile communications, this concept is very, very important. Okay. And this is the frequency reuse pattern, that is the horizontal radiation antenna radiation pattern of a common cell site showing the 120-degree sector. So this is how. Okay, so this is the cell site antenna where they will be having, so it should be having one frequency, it should be having another frequency, it should be having another frequency. Whereas this frequency could be repeated here, anywhere here. Okay, so that is why we follow the concept of that hexagonal shape, so that we can implement the frequency reuse technology efficiently. And coming to the data transmission here. So as we discussed already, we know that multiple access technique, which means that many different frequency of signals or many various different signals will be able to transmit via a single channel bandwidth. How it is possible? By means of the multiple access techniques. So this multiple access refers to how the subscribers are allocated to the assigned frequency spectrum. So many users are transmitting at different frequencies. How it should be allocated? They'll be using a given particular channel bandwidth will be given, and different frequency of signals will be able to transmit at the same time. So these access methods are ways in which many users share a limited amount of spectrum. So they are similar to the multiplexing methods. As I told you already, multiplexing, that is many to one. So we have already learned about this multiplexing techniques in the previous chapters in the previous semester also in analog communication. So what are the different multiple access techniques available here? So the techniques include this frequency reuse and the frequency division multiple access techniques, that is FDMA. That is based on the frequency, that we call it as FDMA, frequency division multiple access. And then TDMA, time division multiple access, and CDMA, code division multiple access. And finally we have SDMA, spatial division multiple access. So these are the different multiple access techniques that we adopt here for the data transmission in case of the cellular telephone system. So it depends upon the parameter we are going to consider. So if for FDMA, we will be considering the parameter frequency, and the TDMA will be considering the parameter time based on the time factor, and the CDMA will be converting the data packets into the form of codes, and the spatial division multiple access will be transforming the signal from one domain to the other domain, that is to the spatial domain. We'll be converting by performing some kind of transforms, and that will be spatial division multiple access. So these are the different multiple access that we are going to adopt here for cellular telephone system. So we are not going to learn much in detail about all these techniques, but we'll have a brief information about what each and every technique is. Okay. So first let us see frequency division multiple access, FDMA. So this FDMA are like a frequency division multiple access in that they allow many users to share a block of spectrum by simply dividing up into many smaller cells. That is, each channel of a band is given an assigned number or a designated center frequency of the channel. That is, one subscriber is assigned to each channel. That is typically widths of 30 kilohertz, 200 kilohertz, 1.5 megahertz, and 5 megahertz. So these are two similar, usually two similar bands, for one for uplink and the other for downlink. So different frequency allocations will be there, and all these will be multiplexed and sent as a single channel via the allocated channel bandwidth. So everything will be linked up here, and if you wanted to transmit from our cellular mobile telephone to the base station, we'll be using the uplink frequency. And if you wanted to transmit the data from the base station to the cellular telephone, it is going to transmit in the downlink frequency. So everything will be multiplexed. All these different frequency of signals will be multiplexed and sent in the as a single channel, or as a single signal, frequency of signal in the channel bandwidth. So this is how this frequency division multiple access technique is working. So see this here. So this is the representation of this for understanding the FDMA spectrum. So the channel bandwidth depends upon the technology used, the different frequency of signals. Everything will be there in a particular frequency. So this is the central frequency here. So this channel will be identifying this central frequency, and it will be transmitted via the single channel bandwidth. Okay, so this is about FDMA. So we are not going to concentrate much here. Our main intention is to learn in detail about the cellular telephone, but we are learning in brief about what are the different multiple access techniques adopted here for the data transmission. And coming to the TDMA. So this TDMA depends upon the different time slots. So I think this we have already discussed. So multiple users use different time slots. So based on the audio signal that is sampled at this rapid rate, and the data words can be interleaved into different time slots. So each and every user or the subscriber will be allotted a particular time of channel. So particular time. Okay, if for the particular same channel will be allocated for different users, different time slots. So they will be transmitting at that particular time slot, whenever their turns come. Their turn comes. Okay, so this is how it is transmitted. So this is the time slot 1, time slot 2, time slot 3, and the serial voice data that has been, suppose a caller A is given a time slot 1, and caller B is given a time slot 2, and caller C is given time slot 3. And at the next time, caller A again they will be given a time slot 4, time slot 5, time slot 6, and sequentially goes on like that. It repeats. So whenever our turn comes, we have to transmit our data. So all these things will be taken care of by the devices which are present there, in which these multiple access techniques are implemented. We are not going to physically work it out. So only thing is, we are the end users. We are enjoying the services provided by the cellular telephones and the mobile stations where they are providing the service. All these things will be taken care by the subscriber who is providing the services. Okay, that is about TDMA. And next comes the advanced one, that is the code division multiple access. So this is another name of spread spectrum. So this already we have seen in our wireless, that is the cordless telephone also we have seen. The cell phones use direct sequence spread spectrum techniques. So the data will be in the encoded format. So here the digital audio signals are encoded in a circuit called vocoder to produce a 13 kilobits per serial data compressed voice signal. So whenever voice signal is being transmitted, it will be compressed format. So already I told you it will be in the encoded format. So it is then combined with a high frequency chipping signal so that it will be boosting up the signal. And normally this encoded audio and the spreading over the signal of 1.5 megahertz channel, everything is being transmitted via a wideband CDMA system on the third generation cellular telephones. So we make use of the advanced technologies. So there comes the evolution of the third generation systems, cellular telephones. So this 3.84 megabits per second chipping rate is used as a 5 megahertz channel to accommodate multiple users. So whenever thereby need goes, again and again, we are incorporating some additional features to the already existing systems. So this is how the quad-division multiple access technique is working. So there will be an what is that encoder here. It is the, and also there will be a pseudo random code generator that is called as the chipping signal. What is that? Chipping signal that will be generating the spread signal model, that is signal that is being spread. Okay, that is called to be the spread spectrum technique. So that introduces this modulated signal and that is transmitted by other signal. So this is actually the serial vocoded voice that is at the frequency range 13 kilobits per second. So it simply performs the exclusive OR operation of this chipping signal and the serial vocoded voice signal, and that is transmitted via the channel. So this is about the CDMA technique. Coming to the orthogonal frequency division multiple access technique, it is a little bit advanced. So larger number of subcarriers can be subdivided into smaller groups. So where many number of users are available, we wanted to make efficient, do an efficient utilization of the channel, as well as provide an extended version of the already existing users. We go for this orthogonal FDMA. And it will be divided into smaller groups, and again everything will be assigned to a individual, that each and every channel will be assigned to a single user, individual user, and these groups of subcarriers are formed to create a subchannels assigned to one user. So in some systems, the subcarriers do not have a contiguous, but instead it might be spread around inside the total OFDM signal bandwidth. So this is how this OFDMA technology is used. And so this is the channel. So this is one, this sub channel, there is one subcarrier is here. So initial, and this is one, and this is for two subgroup. Okay, so it will be divided as a group of signals, group of frequency of signals. This is another group of frequency of signals. This is another group, and this is another group. So everything will be transmitted here. So this is about the widespread technology, where again it will be further subdivided into subgroups. There is the sub channels, and then it will be in between also they will be introducing some kind of subgroups, and they will be transmitted via the channel. So this is about the OFDMA. And coming to the spatial division multiple access. So these forms of access is actually the extension of frequency reuse. That is very narrow antenna beams like cell site base station are able to log only one subscriber, but block another user from using the same base station. We need to go for some kind of domain conversion. So we go for spatial division multiple access. So this modern antenna technology uses this adaptive phased array. So based upon the user frequency signal, it will be suiting to that particular frequency range by implementing that is called as adaptive. Adaptive means based on the current scenario and the what is that environment, it will get adapted to that. It is called adaptive. Okay, so these modern antenna technologies are adaptive in nature, and such antennas allow cell phone carriers to expand the number of subscribers by more aggressive frequency reuse. They automatically they go for frequency reuse technology, being finite discrimination, and it can be achieved with the help of the antennas, adaptive antennas specifically designed for this purpose. So this SDMA is widely used in wireless local area. There is wireless LANs and other broadband wireless applications. So this is some of the advanced technologies where more number of users are available here. And this is about the SDMA technique. There is a spatial division multiple access. Okay, and this is about the duplexing technique. So I'll finish this off. So this duplexing techniques refers to the way where the two-way communications are being happening. So this already we know, that is FDD. Is it not? Frequency division duplexing. It is a full duplex communication. This telephone communication always provides a full duplex communication. The cell phone systems are full duplex in nature. So accordingly, you have to make an arrangement for providing this frequency division to duplexing. So in FDD, separate frequency channels are assigned for the transmit and receive functions, so that the transmit and receive functions do not overlap each other. So the transmit and receive channels are spaced so that they do not interfere with one another inside a cell phone or the base station circuits. And apart from that, we have FTD or TDD also. There is the time division duplexing. So there are some kind of disadvantages in time division duplexing, but this FTD is the most widely used technology for transmitting the signals within the cellular telephone range. And one important point you should know, it is from the history, which most of us do not know. He is the one who is the inventor of digital cell phone. That is Mr. J.C. Eugene Russell is the inventor of digital cell phone in the year 1988. He was working with the Bell Laboratories of one of the divisions of the AT&T. He is the one to introduce this digital cell phone. Previously, they used some kind of analog phones which use this radio communications in the wireless medium for communicating from one person to other person. And he is the one who first invented the digital cellular telephone, which we are using nowadays in the year 1988. He is the one who is the inventor of digital cell phone, J.C. Eugene Russell. He is an American. He invented in the year 1988 in the Bell Laboratory. Okay, so this is for your information. And the next topic here, it is your digital cell phone architecture. I think it's almost time. We'll finish it in the tomorrow's class with the last topic, ISDN.